everyone. Rich Sassman here with Century 21 Affiliate. That is Scott Swinford with Hancock Mortgage.
Hey,
Welcome
everybody.
to another Mortgage Tip Monday. It's a great Monday. Sun is shining. It's supposed to be in the 60s.
Yeah, Mondays are better. I like Mondays better now. Well,
Yeah.
maybe because I'm not working all weekend, which is okay. But Mondays are tough when you work 7 days a week. That's all.
Oh.
But you know what? The best part of it is we get to talk.
Exactly. And Mondays are great because that means I'm tightening up some paperwork for some closings for some great clients of mine, and I'm excited to get them into their house. Um, but let's. That leads us to what we want to talk about this week, and the topic is know what you're getting yourself into, not just with buying a house, but also with lending. Not all lenders are created fairly, or treat you fairly, should I say? And not all lenders have your best interests out. I mean, sometimes if they have partnerships with different companies, they are there because they pay to be there. And I know the reason why I hooked up with Scott is I know he's going to take care of my clients to the best of his ability, and he only has their interests at heart. And that's why just over 4 years ago is when we started meeting up and talking and about all the different loans, and we grew a friendship because of that. And ever since then, I know you've taken care of my clients to the best of your ability, and that's why you're still sitting here with me. It's because I know I can trust you.
Right.
There's a lot of lenders, some I'll call robot lenders or big box lenders that may not have that your interest at heart. Scott, do you want to talk about how some lenders may not have your best interest at heart?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and this isn't one of those things where I'm patting myself on the back. Um, but you know, the way I've always taken my business is that it's on a personal level. You're not a number, you're a name. You're not a transaction. You're someone that we are trying to get into a home
Exactly.
or help you refinance to help you improve your financial position. Um, so that takes a little bit of work sometimes. It takes, um, it takes away this is just what we're doing. We're focusing on only getting your money. We want to make sure that we're doing what's right for you and we're following it through the process. Rich and I were just talking off camera. I have a client um, who was in the process of buying a home. They started several months ago, and they just got some bad information from the lender, and I don't think they're going to be able to purchase this home. To be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful new construction home. However, some of the things that their lender told them to do was not in their best interest. They had a couple things that they needed to work on, and ultimately, what's happened is they made it worse than what happened before. So, I don't know if it's just the lack of caring about getting them to the closing, or if it's just the lack of knowledge about
Mm-hmm.
how to handle certain situations. But it's unfortunate, and I feel very, very bad for these folks because they were put in a position where it's going to be really hard for them to claw themselves out of, and they're not the one that dug the hole.
Exactly. Yeah, and when you have lenders that are partnering up with other sides of the business of the transaction, uh, unless you know you're airtight and it makes sense for you, you need to really do your homework to make sure that they have your best interest at heart. And same thing goes with buyer and seller reps. I mean, one of the most common things I hear is, "Oh, I'll just use the listing agent to purchase the home." Well, you may not be paying for the agent, the commission for the agent, but the seller is, and when an agent represents both sides, it's called limited agency. They can do limited work for your best interest, and same thing with the sellers. So why would you do that when it would cost you the exact same amount to use a buyer agent that has your full interest at heart? And that's something that people need to get the misconception out of their brain and saying that, oh, it'll be cheaper if I use just a listing agent.
right? Or some of them I've even had heard said, well, maybe the listing agent will take less money since they're making both ends of the deal. Um, they might,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know what the chances of that are. And I think, Rich, looking at it from a non real estate point of view, if I was purchasing a home, I would want an agent who's going to be a bulldog and work just for me.
Mm-hmm.
Know that you are asking the questions that I may not know to ask, that you're handling things in the background that protect me and are always going to be in my best interest. And if you've got an agent who's also working with the sellers, that's a tough position for them to be in because they can't equally represent both of you extremely well to the to the amount that I would want someone to represent me. So,
Well, and I'll give you the simplest example. When I take a buyer out and I'm not the listing agent, I can tell them what I think the value of the home is. If you're working for both sides of the transaction, you can't tell somebody, well, this is what the home is valued, you're overpaying. Because then he would not be doing his job for the listing side. And so, and why, so if you can't have basic information like that, what's the point in having an agent like that's working for both sides? So in a way, they can't have your best interest at heart. And I know in some states it's strongly discouraged that agents represent both sides. So, um, but other than that, be careful with who you work with. Make sure you vet them, have a meeting with them. Make sure you know what their total costs are for lending, because there's some lenders out there that have what I like to call surprise fees at the end that people didn't pay attention to up front. So ask them, how much is it going to cost for this loan to close? And Scott's answer is going to be, well, it depends. But he'll be able to tell you, well, with this, this, and this, it's going to be around this. But he's not going to spring an extra 2 point origination fee out of thin air, like I've seen happen. So
it's happened. Yeah, you want to make sure that if you are comparing lenders, but you're comparing apples to apples. If someone says, "Well, I can get you an interest rate at 2.75," and someone else says, "Well, my interest rate is 3," it doesn't necessarily mean that the 2.75 interest rate is the better rate, because it depends on what type of mortgage insurance, if there is mortgage insurance, and especially how many discount points you're paying for it. So if it's costing you, let's say, $2,000 to get that interest rate, and you're saving, say, $30 a month, how many years does it take at $360 a year to get to the point where you're saving that $3,000? So you could be at 8 or 9 years. Well, the average
could
time
be a lot more too.
yeah, well, right, and just using those as kind of round numbers, but the average amount of time that people are in a house is right now between 7 and 10 years, and a lot of times they're refinancing. So you may be overpaying by paying the points to get that lower interest rate. And if you didn't have that, if you were paying just a little bit more per month instead of using that money, could you take that $3,000 and invest it, not necessarily in Bitcoin where it would be worth 100,000 in 10 years? Not saying that's a good investment, but if you invested it somewhere, would you be better off financially by not paying that to buy the interest rate down? And those are all questions that you should ask.
Yeah, and that's what makes Scott different than some other lenders out there. He's not looking at what programs is going to net him the most, net his company the most. He's looking at the program that's going to net you the most. And if your lender isn't doing that, then maybe it's time to look around. So, yeah, just like if your agent's not looking out for your best interest, then maybe it's time to have a look around. And I tell my clients that straight up. If you don't feel like I'm looking out for your best interest, go find another realtor that does. But you know what? I've never had anybody leave. Because they know I'm a bulldog for them. I go after what they need and what they want.
Right.
So,
And that's a great point, Rich. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is a job which puts a roof over my head and my kids in school and food on the table.
mm-hmm.
But it's more than just a job. It's a passion. It's something that we really enjoy, and I am so fortunate to be able to get paid to do it. But it's not about getting paid. It's not about how much I can make off a deal. But it's seeing the smiles on the buyer's face or the client's face that we've refinanced, that we saved them $430 a month off their existing house payment, or helped them paid off a bunch of debt and things. And that's really what it's about. But even more importantly, and I think Rich, you might agree with me on this, is that at the end of the transaction, we really want you as our clients, our borrowers, to come back and say, you know what, they did a great job for me. And
Yep.
when you hear of someone who's looking to purchase or refinance, that you say, you know what, I've got a name of a guy, we used him, and he treated us well.
Yeah. And when it comes to vendors, whether it's mortgage professionals or inspectors or roofers, whatever, if I wouldn't use them personally, I don't recommend them. If I wouldn't use them personally, Scott wouldn't be here. Like, that's what it comes down to. Because if I can personally trust the person I'm recommending, then they get recommended. If I don't know them well enough, then I need to get to know them to find out whether they're worth it or not. So that's how I take care of my clients. I take care of them like a family member that I like. Let's put it that way.
Right. And a lot of times, it's funny you bring that up, Rich, because that was one of the things that kind of angers me every once in a while is, you'll see folks on Facebook, for instance, we'll just use that, where they'll say, hey, I'm looking for a real estate agent in a certain area. And then you'll get 200 responses saying, oh, this person's the best, and they're the best, and they're great. Well, the question is, it might be a friend of yours or an acquaintance or someone, but have you used them? And really a referral, you want to be careful. Let's say, Rich, that I referred you to my barber. I said, you know what, my barber does a great job. And you went to my barber and they messed up your hair. Would you trust any of the referrals that I gave you?
No.
Or if you came back and said, you know what, this is a guy I'm going to use all the time because he did a great job, then you would trust that referral.
Exactly.
So you want to really be careful who you're getting referrals from, and is it somebody that they've actually used and have real life experience, no matter what it is, whether it's a plumber or a restaurant or whatever it happens to be. If you've had a good experience there and you've personally had that experience, then talk about it. And that's where I think we get a lot of that, because we do have past clients that have come back and said, hey, you know what, we want to make referrals. Is it okay? I had an agent call me and said, hey, is it okay if I refer somebody over to you? Of course it is. But that's what our business runs on, because that's what we want to do.
Exactly.
That's how we want to help our clients. Is we want them to have that great personal experience where that somebody can say, yes, we have actually used them and they did a good job.
Exactly. Yeah. The team that I run, we've qualified for the Quality Service Award through Century 21, which is super high standards. A majority of agents and teams don't get it. Actually, very large majority don't get it. And we're one of the few that earned it. And we earned it with there's a simple question that goes out there. Would you use your agent again? And our response was 98% yes. So it's that simple.
And that's saying a lot. So congratulations.
And the industry average is in the 60s. So,
right.
So that means we're doing something right. We treat everybody the right way, and hopefully your agent does too. If it's not me, that's all I care about, is that people get taken care of. Hopefully it's with myself or one of my team members.
And now you know who's got the high customer service award. So.
Yep. So I'll put it in here in the video. So. But other than that, I hope everybody has a great week. It looks like it's going to be a great week, weather-wise at least. Yeah. For Mortgage Tip Monday, this has been Rich Sassman with Century 21. That is Scott Swinford with Hancock Mortgage. I hope everybody enjoys their day.
Take care, folks.